Okay, we are live on Facebook and YouTube, and we're going to go live on Instagram in just a second, and then we will get started. There we are. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Start the Week with Spencer. This is our weekly webinar where parents join from around the world and ask their questions. They could be questions about the Doman method, children with special needs, parenting, child development, and we'll get back to you with our answers. Now, today is a special day, which we do once a month. We call it Victory Day. And the purpose of Victory Day is to take a little bit of time to celebrate the developmental wins of children on our program, on the Doman International program. So these are kids with special needs from around the world who are coming to Doman International, coming to one of our clinics, and being evaluated and having a Doman method program created for them by our staff. And so each month we ask, the children who come in for appointments that month, if the parents are willing, can we talk a bit about the wins of the children? And for the families that say yes, we create this presentation. So anyway, I'm going to present my screen. So give me one moment, because I have a PowerPoint here. There we are. All right. All right, everyone. So here is the Victory Day presentation. And so today I'm going to get started by talking about Charlotte. Charlotte is 14 years old, and she's been diagnosed with Down syndrome. And so now, after starting the Doman method program, Charlotte now is able to speak much better. Her speech is greatly improved, and it's now more comprehensible, it's more understandable by the members of her family. This also facilitates her relationship with others, that allows her to socialize with others more easily. And as a result, she is less shy and more open. And very often, children who are shy, children with special needs who are shy, very often it's because they lack confidence in their speaking ability. But very often, as we see the children and their speech development improve, they become more confident and they become more open. And then they speak more, and that creates a really wonderful cycle where now they're talking more, so it develops their speech more, and they become more sociable in the meantime. I have a video here of Charlotte talking. Now, Charlotte speaks in French and Italian, so she's actually bilingual. She does not speak in English. So this is a video of her talking in Italian, but I just thought I'd show it to you for a few seconds so you can see. And what really impressed me about this video is Charlotte is actually speaking in paragraphs. So she's saying many sentences back to back, which is a huge challenge for many children with Down syndrome. So let's just listen for a few seconds.
Poesia della mamma. So carte parole si faccia si fare parole o la testa piena concentro la nuova e la velena ma le più belle
So you can hear there with Charlotte, she's putting many sentences back to back, and that allows her to tell stories, that allows her to hold conversations, which obviously is a complete change to her life. From an intellectual and cognitive standpoint, Charlotte can now read more complex books. She can now read books at a 10 to 12-year-old level. So she's 14 years old, but she's catching up, right? Each visit at Doman International, her reading comprehension is improving, and she's getting closer and closer to her age level. I always say to parents, the 12-year-old age level, sometimes adults will hear that and they think, oh, that's not a very high level. And what I usually tell adults is, interestingly, most magazines and newspapers are actually written at a 12-year-old level. Most, popular literature is written at a 12-year-old level, because if they want to make something easily readable and interesting to a wide audience, they want to put it at a level that almost any adult could enjoy. So if you're able to read at a 12-year-old level, you're able to get around in life. And so that's a very, important level to be at. And this new confidence, this new ability has really opened up to her a completely new world of knowledge, which she didn't have before. I have a video here of Charlotte reading from a book. And in this video, she's not only demonstrating her reading ability, but also her newfound speaking ability.
Vas-y,
Amici, senza famiglia.
vas-y.
Sapevo cosa sono mamma. La mamma era quella persona che mi diceva le cose e fatto questo di paura che mi prende.
So if she was reading in English and we could all understand, I'd play out the whole video. But obviously, most people watching this don't understand Italian. But this is very important because not only does it show her reading level has improved, her speech level has improved, right? This really means that she can now learn independently on her own, right? If you have the reading level of being able to read newspapers or magazines now, or books, you can now start to gain knowledge on your own. You don't have to rely on parents for everything. This is also important so Charlotte can demonstrate her intelligence to others, right? Others who might be skeptical of how smart she is, especially with her diagnosis, which unfortunately is common in the world. Charlotte now can really show how smart she is. She can read out loud, and that's important for demonstrating to others.
Yeah.
Vas-y.
Okay. Before starting the Doman program, she was not even able to run 100 meters, which is basically the distance across a football field, right? She couldn't even do that. Now she can walk for more than an hour, and she can run for almost 3 kilometers with very little break. And that's not only impressive in terms of stamina, which it is. Like, I honestly don't know how many adults, what percentage of adults could run 3 kilometers nonstop. When you watch this video, something that I think Doman parents and our staff will appreciate that maybe someone else wouldn't appreciate is the quality of Charlotte's running. When she runs, you'll see a really good cross pattern in motion where she's moving the right arm with the left leg and the left arm with the right leg. This is called a cross pattern, and it's a very important pattern for brain development. If you were to take most children with Down syndrome, first of all, most 14-year-olds with Down syndrome probably couldn't even run 100 meters. And that's usually because they're not given a lot of opportunity for physical development. And by the way, again, we're talking about a population at large here. They often, because they don't get a lot of physical opportunity, they also tend to be overweight as a group. Well, kids on the Doman Method program aren't overweight because they eat a very healthy diet and they engage in a lot of physical exercise. A lot of the time, parents are told of children with Down syndrome, "Oh, your kid's going to be obese or be overweight," with no talk about lifestyle. And you'll see here how athletic Charlotte is. Watch how coordinated her run is. Most children with special needs have uncoordinated runs. They don't pump their arms correctly. Sometimes their arms stay down by their side or they flap. But watch how good Charlotte's running is.
Continue. Allez, continue. Regarde devant toi.
Do you see that?
Go.
Very, very coordinated. That's a really great quality run, and it's a really good sign of neurological development. Hannah is also, now I'm moving on to Hannah. Before we're talking about Charlotte, Hannah is 10 years old. Hannah also has a diagnosis of Down syndrome. Hannah, by the way, is Charlotte's sister. So we're looking at 2 sisters here. And Hannah, this period, started initiating conversation and interacting more and better. She's very collaborative now, and she's able to express her needs in a polite way. So she's become more mature, and she speaks both French and Italian like her sister. In this video, you're going to see Hannah reading from a Doman book, which is a part of our reading program, where we essentially enlarge print size for children. They're more user-friendly for children with visual challenges to read because we make the print size big. So you'll see Hannah reading out loud here. She just read, I'm Hannah. She said, I'm 10 years old. And you can see, I'm just pausing in here so you can see how big that print size is. It's about 1 centimeter in height. But for a child with visual issues, which many children with special needs have, creating materials like this makes reading so much easier. And that's one of the reasons why Hannah's reading has continued to improve. Her understanding has improved. She's also gained independence in following written instructions and responsibilities. I want to show this quick video. This is a great video of her writing program, but it's actually the first step in her writing program where she's learning how to spell words correctly. So in this session, she's going to spell the word basta, which in Italian means stop. And so just watch her as she has a collection of letters, but she's going to spell the word correctly.
Vas-y. Très bien, le S.
Right, and Dad was saying very good. All right, so you can see there, she spelled the word correctly. She put the letters in order. This is a very important spelling activity that we do to really make a child a confident speller. Of course, many children with Down syndrome many children with Down syndrome never learn to read, let alone write. And many of them have challenges with spelling because of neurological disorganization. But here you can see Hannah is getting better and better with this fundamental ability. All right, congrats, by the way, to Charlotte and Hannah. We do have a surprising number of families on the Doman Method program who have 2 children on the program that they're doing it with. As you can imagine, that comes with a lot more challenge for the family. So we just have huge admiration for families like Charlotte and Hannah who are able to do the program with 2 kids and get remarkable results like they have. They're really an amazing example for all children with Down syndrome out there. So now let's move to Maggie. Maggie is 6 years of age. And her diagnosis was developmental delay, also cerebral palsy, and she's also been diagnosed with a chromosomal deletion, which is a genetic condition. This period, Maggie received an understanding victory. When children have achieved a specific level in comprehension, where they're really able to demonstrate that they can, follow instructions very well, including multiple step instructions. Right. When I say multiple steps, I mean something like go to your room, get your favorite book, and bring it to Dad in the living room. Right. That's 3 steps. Maggie's able to do things like that now, follow multiple step instructions, and so she received an understanding victory. She's also significantly improved in her balance and coordination. And now, for example, she can swing on the monkey bars and ride a bike with ease. Here you can see Maggie. She's in the bottom right with her entire family who helps her with the program. And so, here I have a video of Maggie doing some brachiation. Brachiation, here you can see it's written, she can swing on the monkey bars. So we call this brachiation. It is a program for developing manual development. Specifically, it helps improve things like the pincer grasp, which is very important for fine motor skills and also writing. So in this video, you're going to see Maggie brachiating across the ladder on her own, which is an amazing physical feat. By the way, probably 1% of adults could do this on their own.
I know, you've got a sore finger. Right, can you go? See if you can try and go on to the next one. Okay.
So yeah, you can see there how impressive that is. Think about how much strength is required in the arms to hold your weight. Think about the manual strength you need to have, right? To grab when she's moving from one bar to the next, she's gripping one bar. She lets go with one arm to grab the next. So that means she's holding her entire weight with a single arm. Imagine how good that is for her manual development, especially if she's doing that many, many times in a day. I've also got here a video of Maggie biking independently.
Okay, go. Keep going, Max. Well done.
As you can imagine, being able to bike requires a lot of balance to protect yourself from falling over. It also requires coordination in the movement of your legs, coordinating your two legs together. It also requires good vision, right, to navigate where you're going. So there's Maggie biking.
Okay, go.
Maggie also, she can now swim the width of her aunt's pool. She loves playing in the water with her siblings. And at home, she's helping a lot more with chores. So she's become more mature and responsible. So she likes tidying up. She likes to bake with her mom. She loves jumping, going on family walks, and spending time at the park and playing games together. So here you can see she's cooking with her mom. It looks like they're baking some muffins. Maggie also is enjoying playing simple board games and is understanding more and more every day. We really encourage children at a certain point in their social development to learn how to play games. The reason why is games require collaboration with others. And so it's very important, first of all, for social development, right? When you play a game with someone else, you have to understand the rules of the game. You have to understand taking turns. You have to understand collaboration, right? And so all of that is important, but not just from a social standpoint, also from a cognitive standpoint, you have to understand how the game is played and how to win it. And so Maggie is doing these games to improve her social and cognitive abilities. Also, her communication skills are improving as well. She is talking more and engaging in conversations with her family. Her spontaneous speech really has improved this period, which has impressed the staff. So congrats to Maggie and to her family. Well, now we'll move on to Davud. Davud is 9 years of age, and his diagnosis was developmental delay with right hemiplegia. Right hemiplegia, by the way, means a lack of movement on the one side of the body. So it meant he couldn't move the right side of his body well. He was more injured on that side of the body due to his brain injury. And so Davud had, before he started our program, he had gone through various surgeries actually for a tumor in his brain. And he went through a period where he was in a coma. He went through radiotherapy, a lot of cancer treatment, and all of this together injured his brain. And so Davud was completely blind when he started our program, completely blind. Now, it's important to understand this is not because of an issue in his eyeballs. It was because his brain had been damaged, the visual centers of his brain, and he could not see at all, nothing. And now, through the Doman Visual Integration Program, Davud has achieved partial central vision in the left eye. So it means in the left eye now, he can see partially. And that makes a huge difference in your life. It's the difference between being completely blind and having partial vision. Even if you have partial vision, you're able to navigate a lot through the environment, right? Because even if you're only able to see this much in this field, well, you can still move your head around and get a sense of where you are in your environment. Now, I've got a great video here that demonstrates both Dawood's Doman mobility program and his visual stimulation program. So you can see there that it says from the mobile state, Dawood has achieved walking with support, and now he's doing a couple of independent steps and standing without support for 5 seconds. So for 5 seconds now, he can stand, no one touching, no one supporting him. And this is from beginning our program completely immobile. And he's able to walk with support and take a couple of independent steps. Now, in this video, you're going to see a few different things. I might stop the video at different times to kind of tell you what you're seeing. But in the first part of the video, you're going to see Dawood walking under Glenn's ladder. Glenn's ladder is named in honor of my grandfather, Glenn Doman. And you're going to see him walking under the ladder. And this is helping him learn how it feels to walk. And now, he's actually, and this I have to say, I think this was parents' idea, not ours. The parents have lined his Glenn's ladder with string lights because his vision is limited. The easiest thing for Dawood to see is light in a dark room. He can now spotlight. He couldn't do that before the program. So by lining it with light, he can now see where the ladder is in the dark room. So let's watch him walk a little bit under the ladder. Just to explain you what you're seeing here. So Dawood is walking across the ladder. So he's holding the bars to maintain his weight, but his legs, right? Well, actually his brain is learning how it feels to stand. And so he's maintaining his weight on his own with the help of the ladder. Now here you're going to see mom has some little lights that she uses for visual stimulation. I'm not sure if you just saw that Dawood actually reached out and touched the light. So mom, and a big part of the Doman visual program is using lights in a dark room. And so what mom is doing is she's presenting a light to him. He's touching it to demonstrate he knows where that light is. He's seen the light. And then she's moving on to something else. Here you're going to see mom is doing it with a red light, where he has to try to find a red light in a lit room. So mom is holding the light. Dawood is reaching out. Please note, he's also balancing himself at the same time. So this is a child who couldn't stand or walk before the Doman method program started, but also he's finding that light where it is. Here, mom is doing another part of the visual integration program, which is called light reflex stimulation. This is the most foundational part of the Doman method visual program. We stimulate the pupil with light, and that's one of the best things for improving the neuronal connection between the eyeball and the brain. So that is Dawood. So really remarkable to go from blind and immobile to starting to see and standing and taking your first independent steps. Dawood's speech has also improved. Now he can say many words spontaneously, but he can also repeat many words that he's hearing, and he can also speak in couplets. Couplets are word pairs, things like "come here," "where's mom," right? Those are couplets, and Dawood can now say them. Here you can see Dawood looks very cool in every picture. So also his sensory hypersensitivity now has gotten a lot better. So before, mom and dad couldn't even bring him out into public spaces because he would melt down. He would go into hysterics because he was so auditorily hypersensitive. The sounds of the environment, and he lives in a very crowded city, were so painful to him, he couldn't go outside. So imagine having a child who's both profoundly brain injured and wants to stay at home all day. It was very upsetting for parents. But now Davud and his mom can easily go out. They can ride the bus together. They can eat out at restaurants. They can fly on airplanes and spend time outside the house without hysterics and tears. So you can imagine what a huge life change that is, both for Davud and for his parents. Congrats to Davud and his family. All right, now we have Jessica, and Jessica is 29 years old. And please note the great age differences that we're talking about here. You know, very often parents will come to us and say, can adults be helped by this program? Jessica's 29. So we have a great number, a great age range with the results that we're talking about. But also, these are people that come from all around the world. So just to give you an idea, we've reported on the results of children today from California, France, Azerbaijan, who else? I'm sure I'm forgetting a couple of people, but we're talking about children from all around the world. Jessica has a diagnosis of autism and developmental delay with epilepsy. Please also note all the different diagnoses we are talking about. Jessica received an understanding victory at this visit. She's more alert, and she has a much better understanding of things, people, situations, and more. So parents have really seen she's much more connected to her environment this time. Jessica also, at her evaluation, she had an evaluation in California, she demonstrated that she could read words for the first time in her life. So imagine you're 29 years old and you've just learned how to read, and you can show it for the first time in your life, and how much that changes the perception of everyone around her. And you know, her parents told me, like, wow, we know now she understands so much more than we've given her credit for. In terms of her health, Jessica also now is physically stronger, and she can now walk more independently and at a faster pace. So just to give you an idea of Jessica's challenges with walking up and down stairs or stepping up and down curbs with her was impossible. I remember 6 months ago, I was walking with her and her family at an evaluation. And when she got to a curb, just one step down, she stopped, and she wouldn't step down until she was able to grab someone's hand and go down. She just refused. She wouldn't move. So here in this video, you're going to see mom practicing this with her at home, where she's practicing stepping up and down on a mat.
Step down. Step down.
Very good. So there you can see Jessica at 29 years of age, for the first time in her life, is stepping up and down. And please note in that video, Jessica wasn't just doing it, she was also following instructions. You saw she got to the end of the mat and she stopped, because she's had 29 years of conditioning thinking she can't do this on her own. Her mom gave her a reassuring instruction, step down, and she did it. So really, really amazing achievement on Jessica's part.
Step back.
All right, now we have Daniel. Daniel is 13 years old. He's had diagnoses of cerebral palsy, ADHD, and developmental delay. Daniel's understanding has greatly improved this period. He's more sociable, he's more polite, he's able to engage in meaningful and thoughtful conversations. Before, it was very difficult for him to engage in a full conversation. Now he's much better at it. Previously, he would mimic and repeat language and phrases without fully understanding the context or meaning. So you would say something to him, he'd kind of like mimic it back or repeat it back, or he'd repeat things back he had heard somewhere. But now he is much more spontaneous with his speech. He's communicating what he's thinking. Before, he was constantly distracted, and he was switching topics frequently. Daniel, this period, participated in a live presentation a few weeks ago to answer questions about himself. And so he went on stage in front of an audience. This is in his home country of New Zealand. And it was actually at a presentation about the Doman method. And so Daniel actually got up on the stage, spoke about his experience, took questions from the audience, and answered the questions. Keep in mind that public speaking is the biggest fear that humans have. I believe when humans are asked, like, what is your greatest fear? They usually say public speaking is number one and death is number two. So, a lot of people are very fearful of speaking in front of audiences, but Daniel did that at the age of 13. How many 13-year-olds can step on a stage and take questions from a live audience? Think about that. He was confident, clear, and incredibly charming in his presentation. In this photo, you can see him with his mom. And then you can see to our right, that's Jordan Ernest, who is our regional director for Australia and New Zealand, and one of our directors. And so she was there seeing Daniel. And then on the other side of Daniel, you see Shirley, who is the director of BICT, which is the Brain Injured Child Trust, which is a wonderful organization in New Zealand that helps families get access to the Doman method. And we're very, very fortunate in certain parts of the world. We have local foundations that work with us to give families access to our program, which is amazing. So I've also got here a video. Oh, this is a really impressive video of Daniel playing the drums. Again, keep in mind, this is a child diagnosed with cerebral palsy, ADHD, and developmental delay. 3 diagnoses that for most families would be devastating. He's got 3 of them. And just watch what he does here. And you can see here, it says, for a child who was predicted never to walk, he has reached the top level of mobility development, and he's about to start learning how to brachiate. I'll show that in a video in a second. But watch Daniel's ability to play the drums. You're going to see him drumming along with a teacher. It's pretty impressive. So I will pause it there. But for anyone who plays a musical instrument, we understand how difficult it is to keep rhythm like that. That's something that for most children requires years and years of training and practice. So his ability to keep a rhythm is very good. For a child diagnosed with developmental delay, he's not very delayed in his music education. That's for sure. And you could see there not only an impressive musical ability. I'm not sure if everyone caught up to this. At one point, he was drumming, and he looked over and saw his teacher had stopped, and he stopped. He waited, and then he started it again, which shows a really impressive learning ability. All right, I'm going to finish off with one last video. And here we've got Daniel learning how to brachiate for the first time in his life. And remember, brachiation is a program where the child has their feet up off the ground and they're swinging from one rung to the next. You saw brachiation being done before by Maggie. Daniel's just learning how to do this for the first time to help his writing ability, to help his manual development. And here you're going to see Jordan Ernest, who I introduced before, is our regional director in Australia and New Zealand and one of our clinical directors. And watch this video.
1, 2, and 3.
Now, my favorite personal moment comes right about here. And I'll pause it and show you what I mean in just a second.
1, 2, and 3.
So what you can see on his face right now, which I've seen on the faces of many children before, that's the look that someone has when they surprise themselves, when they do something they didn't realize that they could do. You know, I think when Daniel started this session, he didn't think he could actually do this, that he could break it across the ladder. And when he did that first swing, he realized, wow, I just did that and it went pretty well. Watch his face here. He even looks back at his parents like, did I just do that? You know? And for me, one of my favorite looks to see on a child's face is this, because they're realizing, wow, I'm capable of doing something I didn't know I could do. And I think even for us as adults, we can resonate with this. Have you ever done something in your life that you didn't think you'd be able to do and you achieved it? It's a big moment, and it's a wonderful moment when you surprise yourself. And that moment is a big win for Daniel, right? Because when he realizes, wow, I didn't think I could do something, but I did it, all of a sudden it starts to open up a world of possibilities for him, right? He starts to think, maybe there are other things I think I can't do, but I can do. And that builds up his confidence just a little bit. And when this happens with a child dozens and dozens and dozens of times, you start to see them change as a person because they start to realize I'm a much more capable person than I thought. So you can see in this presentation, we've gone over so many different things. We showed Maggie brachiating on her own. We saw Maggie bicycling. We saw Charlotte and Hannah reading out loud and running for long distances, right? When children gain a new ability, they realize that they're capable of gaining other new abilities. And that's life-changing for a child. So anyway, I just wanted to share that little thought with you about Daniel. All right. Well, everyone, that is the Victory Day presentation. So I do have about 20 minutes now to get to questions. By the way, whether you've been watching this presentation on Facebook, on YouTube, or on Instagram, feel free to share this video with other parents, especially if you know other parents who have children with similar diagnoses to the ones that we talked about. Please forward it on because we're sure it'll inspire many. All right, so I'm open to taking questions about anything. It could be children with special needs, early child development, the Doman method. So, please, whether you're joining me on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, please go ahead and start typing your questions in and we will get to them in order. I see Pal did like clapping hands on Instagram. Thank you, Pal. Appreciate your support. Okay, while I'm waiting for questions, sometimes parents will ask, what's the first book that you should read about the Doman method if they're interested in learning more? And so I've got a few of the most updated Doman method books here, but for most families, the first book that they're going to read about the Doman method, these are for parents of children with special needs, is this book, The Doman Method from Special Needs to Wellness. This is a book that my father Douglas and I wrote together 2 years ago. It has a ton of information about how to begin the Doman method with your child at home. It has information on, how do you help an immobile child begin the pathway to walking? How do you help a child who can't read how to read? How do you help a child who speaks poorly or has no speech? How do you get them to talk, right? So we touch on nutrition, sleep, just about any topic for a child with a developmental delay or special needs. So the Doman method from special needs to wellness for most families is going to be the first book they read about our program. The second book, by the way, all of these books are available on Amazon. The second book is called Answering Autism, the Doman Method Plan for Autism, ADD, and Neurodevelopmental Delays. This is a book specifically for parents of children with an autism or ADD diagnosis. It really is a book specialized for children with autism. In fact, it's the first book we've ever written specifically for a diagnosis. And the Answering Autism book has chapters on speech development, sensory development, cognitive development, behavior, which is a big concern for many families. So I highly recommend Answering Autism for families with children with that diagnosis. And then I also have here, this is really, I would say, more for families who have already read the first two books. Maybe they've taken one of our courses, the Doman Method course, come for appointments, and who want to kind of take their nutrition program to the next level. We do have the Doman Cookbook, Nutritional Excellence for Your Child. This book has 150 different recipes for parents that adhere to the Doman Method guidelines for children with special needs. By the way, this is also a great nutrition book for parents of children, of well children as well, who just want to have a healthy home environment. So if you're interested in the Doman Method books, those books are the best place to start. All right, we have a question here from Abby Hamdi, who says, how can I enroll in the Doman courses? Great question, Abby. So, Abby, I'll probably ask Colleen Hudson to join in a second just to talk a bit more about this. Colleen is the director of our representatives. But enrolling in the Doman courses is pretty simple. We ask that parents jump on a call with one of the Doman International representatives just to talk a bit about their child, mainly because we want to make sure that the child is eligible for the Doman Method. There are rare, diagnoses, not children with any kind of neurodevelopmental delay, but sometimes we'll have families contact us and their children might have some kind of muscular condition that we perhaps can't help because it's not, the root cause of the child's condition is not in the brain. And that's what we specialize in. So we want to make sure all the families that take the Doman Method course or the Answering Autism course have children who are eligible for that. Colleen, is it okay if I add you to the stage? Okay, perfect. I'm adding you here.
Hello.
So, yeah, hi. So yeah, the question was about the steps for enrolling in the course.
Yes, thank you. Abby, if you could DM us your contact information, that's probably the quickest way for us to be in touch. I answer all the messages from families who want to know about the course. So our email address and a phone number would be really useful. As Spencer said, there's just a couple of questions that I have to make sure that this is the right fit for your child, but very much looking forward to speaking with you and getting your questions answered.
Oh, sorry, I think I was muted there. Yeah, Colleen's giving me a thumbs up. Yeah, so what I was saying, everyone, is, please go ahead and type your questions into the comments box. I said we have about 10 minutes left. Sometimes all the questions come in at the end and we can't get to all of the questions. So go ahead, type your questions into the comment box and we'll get to them in order. Yeah, everyone who told me they can't hear me, thank you for letting me know. Can you hear me now? If you don't mind, just type in the comments just so that I know you can hear. Yeah, Colleen gave me a thumbs up, so I think we should be good. Colleen, I'm just gonna, I hope you don't mind, do you mind talking a bit about the Answering Autism course, which we're adding in August, and maybe the difference between the Doman Method course and Answering Autism?
Yes, thank you so much. I was just earlier drafting an email I need to send today because we are 3 weeks away from the start of our course and 2 weeks away from the deadline for enrollment. So it's definitely coming up. So we've been giving the online Doman Method course for it's like 6 years now, and we have now added Answering Autism, a Doman Method course. The biggest difference, I think, between the online Doman Method course that we've been giving and Answering Autism is that most of the children we meet who have a diagnosis of autism, their primary concern isn't mobility. And the Doman Method course does spend a good amount of time talking about the pathway to get your child mobile, because many other children we work with are not mobile. So in Answering Autism, rather than focusing on how to get your child to walk, because almost all of the kids we see on the autism spectrum are walking, we have decided instead to focus a little more on some of the more typical issues for kids on the autism spectrum. So sensory, nutritional. Now, all of these things are covered in the Doman Method course as well. But in Answering Autism, we are going to have just a little bit more of a focus on the areas that, parents whose kids have the diagnosis have reported to us are the most concerning for them. And then we can explain how does the Doman Method help overall. Speech development as well. That's, always been a big part of what we do because communication is key. But for kids on the autism spectrum, speech can be a big deal, being able to speak fluently, consistently. So all of those things. So Spencer actually has recorded some brand new lectures for that course, and our staff are really looking forward to helping families. And we really did want to specify, because sometimes parents who have heard about us say, oh, well, you work with children who don't walk, and my kid does walk. That's not our problem. We're like, no, the Doman Method is effective for your child's diagnosis as well, very much so. So I think that's the biggest difference.
Yeah, and so in this Answering Autism course, we've added video lectures on more advanced mobility programs for children who are walkers. We've added a lot of information about sensory integration, things like oral integration for children with speech or feeding problems, certain sensory stimulation programs for children, for example, who engage in stimming behaviors or who are very picky eaters, which is a common issue with children with autism, and also speech programs as well. So okay, we've got another question here from Wendy. Wendy says she's got a boy with 21 years. She has a boy with 21 years of age who has developmental delay and is nonverbal. What is the best way to approach it? Is it too late for him with the Doman Method? So the answer, Wendy, is it's absolutely not too late. And I'm not sure if you saw the presentation I did at the beginning of this session. I started by just talking about different major changes that children have had on the Doman Method in the last month. These are children who have come to Doman International for an appointment. And one of the girls that I talked about earlier, actually, I should say one of the women I discussed is 29 years old. Her name's Jessica, and she's having major changes at the age of 29. I also talked about certain, other children who are teenagers who have had 13 years old, 14 years old, who are also having major changes. So absolutely, it's not too late. Many parents don't realize my grandfather's work actually began with adults. He began with people who had suffered strokes, which are a form of brain injury, in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then as he continued on with his work, more and more families joined our program with younger children because largely because a lot of families with younger children have more time to dedicate to the treatment of their kids. But that being said, we have children and adults of all ages on our program. Okay, I see a question here from Glenn. Glenn says, do you know of any schools in the United States that apply the Doman method? Glenn, as of right now, no, I don't. I don't know of any. I know a few outside of the U.S. that do, like preschools, for example, but no, not in the U.S. And by the way, I will say that even the term Doman method is a trademarked term, and so if anyone is claiming that they're a school that does the Doman method, please let me know, because they're not. They'd have to be authorized by us. But yeah, right now, Glenn, we don't have schools. What we do is we teach families, how to do the Doman method treatment with their children. Colleen, anything you want to add to either of those last two questions about age or schools?
I get not really. The age thing, it is interesting. I'd like to mention my own grandfather was in a terrible car accident right after my parents found out about the Doman method. He was in a coma. He was severely brain injured, and couldn't walk, couldn't talk, all of the things. And he was 52 at the time, and they happily had learned about this, so they did a full program with him until the day that he told them, that's enough. I'm good enough. But he was able to say, I'm good enough. And then he went on and lived an independent life again, and drove a car and everything. So there's no barrier with age at all that I've ever seen. It's incredible. Neuroplasticity really is miraculous. And then as far as schools go, there are no, as Spencer said, the Doman method is a trademark thing. People have asked us for years why schools don't adopt these ideas and all. The truth of the matter is that this method is perfectly suited for parents and caregivers and people to do more one-on-one or one-on-two, like with their own children, because you can really tailor everything so specifically to what they need and what they want. So I think, then again, I know there are teachers out there, I've met some who have read Glenn Doman's books, were very influenced by them, and brought the spirit of it into their teaching, as much as they possibly could. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I mean, if you walk into a school and it doesn't seem like the right fit for your kid, I'd say run, don't walk in the other direction. But and my daughter is now out of school. She graduated high school last year, and I didn't do everything right either. There's some places I should have run, not walked out of. But
yeah, and so Glenn, if you're interested specifically in the Doman method for children with special needs, so Doman International has online courses that parents can take, but also parents can come for in-person appointments as well to have their children evaluated and to have a customized program created for them. So our headquarters in the US are in Philadelphia. So families come from around the world to our clinic to have their children seen and evaluated. If you're interested in the Doman method for neurotypical children and just the early childhood education programs we have, check out domanlearning.com. I will type this in the comments box, but domanlearning.com, we have online courses for parents of well children who want to learn how to, teach their children early reading skills, math skills. So there are courses and also materials that parents can access there. So I highly recommend that.
I'm seeing Glenn's last name, and I'm wondering if he's the dad of the family. We recently saw a kid for a remote program with the same last name. So I'm curious. I don't know, Glenn. Maybe you're already working with us, which is great. But this was a really good question because it comes up so frequently. It's it's
Yeah,
good
for
to
sure.
talk about.
All right, everyone, let's see. I mean, we might have time for one more question if someone gets it in the next minute or so. So I'll give everyone a few more seconds. If you joined the session late, I started for the first 30 minutes or so presenting something called Victory Day, where I took, about 10 children who are on the Doman Method program and talked about the changes that they've had over the last 6 months since starting our treatment program. I always say to parents, those children are not selected because we feel that their results are the most impressive. It's actually, we ask all the parents that come in a specific time frame, are you comfortable with us talking about your child's results? And if they say yes, it doesn't matter how well the child did, we report on the results of the child. So it's really up to parents. So we're not picking cherry picking the best results. We're picking the ones that families are comfortable with us sharing. All right. I think this is our last question. Wendy is asking, do you have a certified therapist that could provide the method? So Wendy, our team is a very diverse team in terms of background. So, for example, my background is early childhood education. So I have a master's in education in that subject. Rosalind Doman, who is our director of the clinic, is background in special education. We have nutritionists, we have teachers, we have basic ABA therapists, right? We have people who have come from all backgrounds. But that being said, almost all of their most valuable training, and they would say this, not just me, came at Doman International learning about the Doman method. In fact, that's why they come to the Doman method, usually because they find that what they learned out there wasn't helping kids, right? My mom, Rosalind, who started teaching the Doman method in 1974, was a special educator. And she basically said, wow, I care about kids with special needs, but they are not getting any results in the regular school system. I've got to find something else. So, and many of our staff have a similar story to that in one way or another. So we do have staff from diverse backgrounds and certifications. And I know sometimes people will ask that, Wendy, also for insurance reasons. So I recommend you reach out to us, send us a direct message. Colleen can set up a call with you and we can see how we can help you. All right, everyone, I think we are all out of time. Thanks so much for joining today. We will, continue to do our best with continuing Start the Week with Spencer over the coming weeks. We are traveling to Italy to our European center next week, where we're going to be seeing families from around Europe and the Middle East. Our center in Europe is in Pisa, Italy, and so it's there for parents from Europe with kids with special needs. So we will be there. We'll have to look at our schedule for the upcoming weeks. Hopefully we'll be able to continue these webinars while I'm traveling. But I really appreciate everyone joining today. And we look forward to hearing from you. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everyone. Thanks, Colleen.